Hey, so welcome back to another episode. I know it says episode 1 of Ask a Dev, and the reason that I say episode 1 is in 2019, I mentioned that we would be starting to sort of somewhat treat this as a podcast. So moving forward, about a day or two after we do it live on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description where you can go on the various platforms and download the Ask a Devs so that you can have your own. Not everyone has is always on their computer, or they got their car ride. So just a different medium for you guys to listen to the content on. So more or less the same thing, but now a day or two after, you're gonna have a podcast version where you can listen to it on the road, because for the most part, these AMAs are just that. They are an opportunity to talk, to listen, to provide value and mentoring, as well as get some in return. Let me grab my my morning juice real quick. I'll be right back. So I normally like to start with a topic. And I think today we're going to be talking about time management, because this is something that a lot of people do poorly in their life. There's really 3 things, and they're all somewhat related to what a lot of people do a very poor job of in life and why they have a lot of issues. 1 is managing their finances. 2 is managing their time. And 3 is actively a daily progression towards whatever your goals are in life. And so managing your time is somewhat crucial for all 3, right? You have to control your time to be able to control putting your time into things and be able to dedicate time to learn about finance and all that sort of stuff, because it's so crucial. And it's not something that just happens. It's never just something. I give this analogy quite a lot, where it's somewhat like going to the gym. You got to find the time to make it happen. You have to make it a priority, right? You have to make it something that isn't a choice anymore. It's just the way things are. So with that being said, when you're starting to think about managing your time, what I would like you to do is start creating a plan for what it is that you want to accomplish. And you're saying, well, Dylan, what's that got to do with managing my time? Well, what you'll find out is if you start writing a plan, you see, I always on the whiteboard, front and back, there's always something going on the whiteboard. And that's just me figuring out my time and what it is that I want to do. And so by figuring out what it is you want to do, it's very easy to see how you're not going to get there. So if I say what I want to do is, what I want to do in 2019 is I want to do a quality assurance bootcamp. I want to go get my Agile Dev Scrum certification. These are the things I do. And then you look at them and you say, how much time a week am I devoting to this? Because what do you have in a week? So there's 7 times 24. That's, don't do math on camera, 168 hours a week. 8 hours a day of sleep, presumably. So we're losing 56 hours. So we have 100 hours or so, give or take, of work. As another 40, let's say 50 with driving. So you have about 50 hours a week of everything that you can actually do something. And we'll knock off another 10, whatever, 40 hours a week to accomplish your goals, whether that's personal fitness, whether that's financial fitness, whether that's progressing your career. And so once you start making these plans, you'll start seeing how much time you're devoting out of that 40, 50 hours a week. And what you'll probably see is that you're not devoting any. These are all just the talks. This is all just talk. It's just things you're dedicating time to, energy to, outside of the list, which is just as important. But oftentimes, what I would prefer you guys to do, and what a lot of people suffer with, is I would prefer that. Can you guys hear that trash truck? Just out of curiosity, that's pretty loud. What I would prefer that you do is, in the short term, take the hit of maybe a social life, take the hit of, the fun. Be okay with 3-4 years of not being like everybody else, because what will happen is you'll have a lifetime By dedicating 3, 4, 5 years to yourself to improving, whether it's your health, whether it's your finances, whether it's your career, you have just set yourself up for 30, 40 years of success, while everyone else will be living penny to penny. So plan your time accordingly. A couple ways to do this, as I mentioned: write out what it is you want to accomplish, and then start figuring out how much time you're actually dedicating to it. Chances are very little to none. And once you have that and you say, okay, all right, Dylan, I see the light. I see that I am spending 40 hours a week apparently watching Netflix. I had no idea, right? What I'm telling you is drop that to 10, figure out 30 hours a week you can dedicate to yourself, figure out 10 hours a week to start, and say, okay, how am I going to do it? Well, a schedule. A schedule is one of the things it's almost a dirty word because no one likes it. I particularly love schedules. I didn't used to, but I find out that I get so much value. So you know what I do every morning? Every morning I hop on my computer. I don't watch YouTube videos. I don't do this. I spend about 30 minutes every morning. It used to be an hour, but my schedule kind of shifted with work. 30 minutes every morning working on the Udemy course that I'm working on, answering emails for business things, all that sort of stuff. So every single morning, you know, I do after work since the 2019 year, 30 minutes after work and 30 minutes around the same time on the weekends, I hit the gym. I exercise, I lift a little bit, because that's one of my goals, right? So it's important to have that goal in mind. It's important to dedicate that time and create a schedule. And you know, people are going to make fun of you. Like, people are going to be like, oh man, just go out tonight, this and that. And, you know, sometimes you have to lose some of those friends. Sometimes you just have to say, look, man, I got other things going on in my life. Right. And what you have to realize, you have to stop caring about what outside people are saying, because most people, something like 90% of people don't have enough for retirement. Something about 70% of people hate their job. So what I want you to do, I want you to be the weirdo. I want you to be the minority that says, you know what? I love my job. I'm going to have a fantastic retirement and I'm going to be happy. Oh my goodness. I got to take this call. I'm sorry, guys. All right, I'm sorry about that awkward silence, but that was a phone call I could not miss. Sometimes business comes at inopportune times. Sometimes business is here on the weekends. It's just the name of the game. I apologize, but thank you again to Orthus for donating $2. But you know, let that silence be a bit of a life lesson for you. Let that be a life lesson that things may not happen when you need them to happen, but they happen just when they're supposed to. All right. So everyone, I don't know what to tell you, but I apologize. That was just a phone call, a business call that I had been waiting for that didn't really have a set time. Because it's definitely not a phone call I forgot about. So with that being said, all right. Plan your time. Plan your time. Don't. I've double booked so much in 2018. I got to stop doing it. So let's see what we got. Let's see what questions we got today, because this is the Ask a Dev series where we want to answer your questions. Right? This isn't just a Talk a Dev series. We can have that another time. So what do I think about the boot camp where you study for free and after that the boot camp owners find you a job, take 20% of your salary for 2 years? So I am familiar with this model. I will say that in terms of the amount that they take, it's oftentimes much higher than what it would be for a boot camp if you put it up front. And so with that being said, you sort of are in this weird situation where if you don't believe in yourself, you can take the more expensive route, right? That long-term payment where you're going to pay close to like 30. I think the one I saw capped out at $35,000 or $30,000. They'll cap out where you don't have to pay them more than that. And from there, they will. But compared to the average bootcamp, it's somewhere between 10 and 15, and you can finance that. And I'm not big on financing, but I'm just saying if you look at the numbers, you get, although you put a little bit of money up front, long term you get a better benefit. What I think about mobile development, I think when it comes to development, you should pretty much just choose what you're interested in at the end of the day. So, it's always one of those things where you need to consider pay, you need to consider jobs, you need to consider all that sort of stuff. But if that's only one thing, right? Another thing is, what is it that you actually enjoy doing? Because you're going to be more successful in that than anything else. So if you enjoy your work, you're going to continue to increase your skill. You're going to continue to get better. You're going to continue to just be happy, right? No one wants to go through life being miserable. And like the difference in pay, let's just say, I don't know the difference, but let's say the difference in pay between one technology and another, between mobile and web, is $10,000 either way. Is it really worth 10 grand to be miserable? The answer, I'll tell you, is no. So it's more of a not a hypothetical, but what's the name for a question that's not really meant to be answered? I'm forgetting the actual name. I'm not big with words. But yeah, that's sort of the game. Do you think a person should take time to master ES5 before laying ES6? I think really at the end of the day, you just need to master JavaScript and stop breaking it up into containers. ES6 came out in 2015. It's 2019, guys. It's just JavaScript now. You know what I mean? Like these are things you should just know. The ECMAScript Foundation, which is in charge of JavaScript, releases yearly. So the language is going to mature, continue to grow. And so if you're a professional and you're continuing to learn and continuing to get better, then that's a good thing. And you can stay up to date just on a yearly basis. Bro, I'm lifting. Look at these guns. Not quite yet. Do you promise to relate to ES6? I believe they were released at the ES6. It's been a while, but they've been in other libraries for a while. They're just a way to handle asynchronous code. You're learning C++. Why not C#? I have done a little bit of C#. I wrote some C# yesterday, coincidentally. A little bit, a very tiny bit, just enough. So when it comes to C++, really, that was just me doing tutorials. Some of you guys have asked for me to finish up some of the Codecademy tutorials. I've essentially done the whole site, but they've added some new stuff. Before this, I was actually doing the UI UX one. I forget the exact color theory, I believe it is, section. So that's what I've been working on. Just sold some lemonade on the phone, perhaps. Any tips on getting into software engineering? I have quite a few. Matt, some might argue I have 900 videos filled of tips, but the best tip I can give you is find a way to make it fun. Find a way to monetize it, because then even if it's not fun, you'll like money, and that's fun. And find a way to consistently do it on a daily basis and build something that's unique to you. Make sure you are a better developer every single year. And the good thing about that first year, you can be like 3 times the developer a year later. If I was going to learn C, I'd probably just go with C#. Rhetorical. Thank you. Yeah. What do you feel about the new crop of YouTubers to say you can learn to code in 3 months on Team Treehouse? I mean, I could teach you JavaScript in an afternoon. Whether you'd be able to be a software developer is a different thing, right? Software development is a very unique field where there are people with the same job title I am who make 40 to 60% less than I do. And money's not everything, but that's because you can have such varying levels of skill because of the dedication and the understanding, right? Where I've spent the last 3 years increasing my skill, understanding the fundamentals of object-oriented programming, understanding the solid principles, learning about how to be a professional, learning how to write clean code, learning about Webpack and linters, and learning about Ionic, jQuery, Angular 1, Angular 2, React, Redux, diving into semantic HTML, atomic design, block element modifiers, CSS, SAS, defining unit testing, defining integration tests, looking into test-driven development. And then in 3 months, you can probably learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you can make a page. So like, can you learn to code in 3 months? Absolutely. Can you learn to be a developer, a software developer, software engineer, front-end engineer in 3 months? I would say not. And those are 2 different things. But the way it's presented is the same. And it's not likely. That's the truth. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. There's people, Bo Carnes did the Western Governors University software development degree in 6 months. How many people do you think actually do that in 6 months? Few to none. He might be the only one. But the point is that things are possible, but are they likely is a different story. Thoughts on SQL? SQL is great. So in my course that I'm working on, it's a front-end course, I actually go over relational databases because I think it's important for a lot of people to understand, and it's in SQL, how they work in order to understand what's actually happening on the back end. And so like those core fundamentals, and that is something that I'm very much so in favor of, is that people sit down and at least have a basic understanding of how these things work, right? How APIs work, how the repository layer works, the database, all that sort of stuff. So what programming language do I use at work? TypeScript mainly. Java or Python? Python's been picking up quite a bit of steam. So if I had to start again, what would I do different? Would I still do Free Code Camp? I absolutely would still do Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp introduced me to building projects and actually web development as a whole. It's just one of the many resources I use. What I would do differently, I would dropped out of college a lot earlier. Lot earlier than anything else. That was such a waste of time and my father's money. Luckily, it wasn't my money; it was my father's money, which is still salty about. But anyhow, so I would do that. I would also have just done some more internships. I think a lot of value, like why I was teaching myself to code. I was working at a software company as essentially a business analyst and technical writer, but which was fine. That sort of helped. But that didn't, I wouldn't say it helped. I guess it helped somewhat, but I probably would have tried to find a job earlier because I think I was ready maybe 2-3 months earlier. But I would also have started a second side project on top of the YouTube that would be like a long-term web application, because that's something I've been wanting to do for a while. Do I think Vue is overhyped? It gets a lot of attention for hyping the jobs. Most of your jobs are at firms where they use PHP. I don't know that that's true, because Vue is a new technology and PHP is somewhat of an old technology. I would actually probably say it's the opposite of that. If anyone's starting a Vue application, it's because they're doing greenfield development. And so, it's not true, but I would say it's probably false. Meaning that I'm sure there are some Vue where they're using PHP, but not the normal situation. Do you think Node? Do you use Node as linked to SQL databases? I usually, if I'm using Node, I like document-based databases because it's a little bit easier to manipulate and update, in my opinion. Still worth to learn PHP. I mean, it depends what your goal is. I would say no, just because it typically would pay less. Hi, I'm interested in software development. Is there ageism in software development? A lot of people would have you believe so. A lot of people would really have you believe so. I'm 31, so I'm somewhat in the middle of the pack. I would say that I'm on the younger end, but let me put it this way: of the 10 developers at my work that are just developers, I'm probably the sixth. I'd say the average developer at my work is under 30, so I'm slightly older. I'm about 2-3 years older than my boss. Here's the thing: is there's ageism at every organization and every industry. But what are you going to do? Are you just going to accept it and stay at home and cry about it? Is it unfortunate? Absolutely. Should we get better with it? Yeah. But in the meantime, you got to move forward. And so that's something that you shouldn't even be thinking about, because you could say, is there ageism as a nurse? Yeah, I'm sure there is. Is there ageism as a janitor? Yeah, I'm sure there is. Do I think it's to the varying degree that people like to make it out to be? I'm sure to a degree, right? So you say something like, hey, let's go get a job in San Francisco. You're basically saying that you can't have a family and you're going to live in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment for $4,000 a month. That's not ageism per se. That's just the type of candidates that can handle that are typically young individuals who are just getting their careers going and haven't learned how to manage their money, probably. But yeah, I don't know. Why is web dev so complicated? Like a new framework comes out every freaking month. You have to learn to stay relevant. So here's the thing. Once you learn to be a front-end engineer, what you're really learning are principles, foundational skills, methodologies, and you're learning to understand how to learn. That's it. So when I jump into Vue, and I was in Vue yesterday, I understand the core principles of a single page application. I understand the model view controller architecture. I understand how to what it means to essentially bootstrap your application, managing components, building out services. These are concepts that transition framework to framework, and so it becomes very easy to stay relevant because it's you understand the core functionality. There's no real difference between, and this may surprise a lot of you, between working in like Vue, Angular, or React. Now, React may be more functional, Angular and Vue a little bit more object oriented, but the core principles of what a single page application, what a spa is supposed to provide, is in all of them. And if you understand those concepts, transitioning between them is just a matter of learning syntax. It's much similar just to like how I could go and read Python, I can go and read Ruby, C#, and do all this sort of stuff because I understand the core function of the language. I may not have known that in this way, this while loop is set up like this, or this switch statement is this way, but I understand what a switch statement is. I understand how to read code, and it's the same thing with frameworks. If I could live on desert island, only take one programming language, what would it be? TypeScript or JavaScript, whatever you want to call. Good morning to my my Canadian brothers. Can I suggest you any, someone asked about good software methodology books, Nelly. If you go in the description below, I have a list of all the books that I recommend that I really have enjoyed reading. I've read all of them. The only one that I'm not complete with is Code Complete. I'm still working on that one. Any thoughts about getting jobs from overseas, aka visa sponsorship jobs? I recently randomly got offered a job in St. Petersburg, Russia, and I unfortunately declined. It's some place I'd like to travel at some point, but no, I have no what's the word I'm looking for? No experience with visa sponsorship jobs. Will I ever apply to big tech company like Facebook and Google? In the past, they've applied to me, so which is always fun. But I have applied, and they have. I have interviewed. I've interviewed with Microsoft. I've interviewed with Facebook, Amazon twice. I've interviewed once with Facebook, once with Google, once with Microsoft. And twice with Amazon. But yeah. Do I still have technical debt, or you passed it now? There's always technical debt. How do you prep for the whiteboard questions? You just practice algorithms and then practice coding them. And if you can, practice whiteboarding them out if you have a whiteboard. But really, for me, it was just practicing. Is getting a degree still relevant in the tech world? It's never going to hurt you. And some people need that sort of structured learning, and some companies won't accept you without it. It depends on the organization. Is a degree better than not having a degree? Absolutely. Would I say it's mandatory? I wouldn't. Would I say it's helpful? Yes. Would I say it's helpful to spend 5 years of your time and $50,000 in debt? Debatable. But it is one way of going about it. And that's the thing is, I don't necessarily discourage people from getting degrees because I think I'd be doing a disservice, but I do want to bring up that there are different paths for different people to be successful, right? I've gone down the degree path. That's not for me. Going to self-learning and hacking some stuff out and building projects and just working on things that I want to work on that are relevant, not high-level theory. That's the stuff I like, right? Actually getting into it and learning the things that matter, in my opinion. That's why I probably would have been very successful going to a bootcamp. Really enjoyed that. And so some people can go the completely self-taught route. Some people can go the college route. Some people go the boot camp route. Some people do sort of a mixture of all combined. The point is that everyone's different. Everyone succeeds in different ways and fails in different ways. And you have to figure out which one works for you. If you're coding in web dev, your computer specs barely matter. JavaScript is a single-threaded language. The only thing that may happen is you may compile your code quicker, especially if you're like running Docker or something. So you don't recommend PHP. My list right now is JavaScript, Python, PHP, C#, in that order. Any suggestions? My suggestions is once you're ready, define it is what you are trying to become. Because you got a lot of languages going on there with mastery of none. And I see this quite a bit where we've interviewed candidates in the past and they technically have like 2 years experience, but they're bouncing around between things. Like they don't really have like a software job. So they don't really have a language. And so you were to say something like I remember we interviewed a candidate a while back and very nice guy, thought he was going to kill it, had great projects. And then we got him up to the whiteboard interview and he's interviewing for a JavaScript role. And so I was like, all right, cool. In JavaScript, write a for loop, essentially. And he could only write a for each. And it was so strange. He's like, well, I don't really remember, I haven't written a for loop in a while. And which like when you're interviewing people, there's a lot of things you're going to let them slide on. There's a lot of things where you're like, all right, so you're gonna let them slide on the fact they don't know the answer to whatever you're asking. You're gonna help them out, but like if you don't know the core fundamentals of the language, it's very hard for your interview to give you like JavaScript 101. And so, Otho, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to be a web developer, figure out what type of developer you want to be. And look at what they're doing. Because I promise you, it's not a combination of JavaScript, Python, PHP, and C#. It might be a combination of two, but go and figure out what it is that you want to be so you're spending your time in smart places. So this is why you say there isn't a shortage of developers, a shortage of good developers. Absolutely. It's completely true. Should you just stick with JavaScript? I didn't say that. What I said is that if you want to be a front-end developer, there's different classifications. JavaScript's the largest. There's also Laravel with PHP, and C# is more on the service ends. Maybe Blazor takes off. You just C# in the front end. It all sort of depends. And so, but what I am saying is you don't need all four. Oh, I got a dog, by the way, guys. I got a puppy. I think I'm going to do a house tour video this weekend for you guys. I know a lot of you people have been asking about it, so it's going to be motivating. I think I'm finally going to do it this weekend, and maybe I'll show him off. We named him Gator in honor of us being in Florida. Let me see if he'll come. Gator. Gator. Oh, he's eating. I want to show him to the channel. I think April's gonna bring him in for you guys. He's only about 8-9 weeks old. So he's been peeing all over my stuff, and oh, what happened?
Yeah, a little bit of trouble picking him up.
Oh,
He's fine.
I'll show him to. He's a Australian Shepherd. He's all black and brown, tricolor, black tricolor Australian Shepherd. Huh, buddy? Huh? On Gator. But yeah, he keeps on peeing on my stuff.
He's like he looks more like a fluffy Rottweiler.
Yeah, he kind of got like Rottweiler looking colors on him. But yeah, we got him 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
3 days ago.
Yeah. So he's getting used to it. We've been crate training him. Do the cats like him? Not quite yet. They'll get there though.
He just woke up from a nap, so he's a little non-active.
Huh. Yeah, hey buddy. Yeah, he's a good dog.
No, he's an Australian Shepherd, full blood.
Yeah.
He
has a unique looking coat.
Yeah, he doesn't look like his brother or sisters at all. His sister is a Merrill, a blue Merrill, and so is his brother. And then you get this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's 100% Australian Shepherd, but he kind of looks like a fluffy Rottweiler.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like his colorings. The only little white is kind of this dirty white right here on his chest. But normally there's white. I know I'm somewhat dumb question, but I'm going with JavaScript. What would I recommend as number 2? If I was going to recommend something as your number 2, I'd recommend learning C# and .NET Core to build web services. Yeah. That's what I would recommend.
Hey, Benny. I'm going to take him out.
Okay.
No, actually, Australian Shepherds are one of the few breeds that are born with short tails because they're herding dogs for all different types of like cattle, sheep, herds, or anything like that.
Ooh.
You just ate paper. So actually, they're born with dock tails. There are some that do get their tails docked if they're not short enough, but there's like a couple different breeds. The AKA will acknowledge that there's only one standard breed, and that will be the either show dog or the actual herding dog, whereas now people are starting to breed the mini size, the toy size, and etc. So, but they're not acknowledged by the AKA. Just the regulars are.
Yeah. It's a boy though.
It's a boy.
Are you gonna take it for a walk?
Yeah, because I think he's gonna pee.
Right.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know about puppies, they tend to pee and shit about every 2 to 3 hours, so you have to be on top of it. But yeah, so I promised April when we got our house that we would get a puppy. We've been here about 3 months now. Paid off $14,000 on the mortgage accidentally this last month, so now I'm broke. And at the same time, I then just spent about, between all the stuff you have to get for the puppy, paying for the puppy, like another $1,000 to get the puppy, and now I'm broke. So your boy's gonna be shilling out some courses. While we're on that, might I recommend the 100 algorithm challenge to get you prepared for your JavaScript interview. Link is in the description below. Get it for just $10. Help buy that puppy some food. It's not going to eat without you buying those courses, guys.
Oh my God, that is so sad.
Most jobs I researched for software engineering stress good communication skills. Yes. If you lack very communication skills, like sort of a socially awkward person, can you still score a good job? Well, I'm sure you could. What I would say is, instead of just going through life being socially awkward and feeling uncomfortable, and I understand this as a fellow introvert, right? And that may be something that you're saying, Dylan, you're an introvert? I was like, yes. It's a little bit easier to talk to people when they're through a webcam than in person all the time, right? So I understand, right? I might not be as bad as I used to be, but I still completely understand. Anyhow, so what I would say is work on that. And although, Karen in the chat's like, that's what That's what the project managers are for. No, that's not what the project managers for. Do they sometimes take that role? Yes. But you know what's better than a developer with bad communication skills that a company wants? A developer with good communication skills. Because you'll be working on a team. You'll be working with other developers. You'll need to be talking to the business. And what they don't want are their developers are the developers learning how to avoid the business, not be able to carry conversations on, be able to talk non-tech talk, I guess is one way of doing it. So what I would say is focus on bettering that skills and overcoming that. Some of the questions for the free code camp, I would say about 10 of them are from free code camp. Yeah, of the 100 algorithms. Do I work with external customers? No. For the most part, as a software engineer, you'll never work directly with customers. The reason for it is your time's too valuable. Other than maybe the executives and some data scientists, as developers, and we'll throw the data scientists all in the same thing as developers, you'll be the highest paid resource that they have on staff, hands down. So they need you to do what only you can do, and that's deliver quality software, because no one else can do it. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. And so will you sometimes meet with customers? On occasion. Sometimes you'll need to meet with the customers to be able to deliver the product. But not every role is going to be like that. And there's usually going to be a layer of separation because they want you there doing your job, because no one else can do it. Is this official episode 1? I'm calling it. We're 100 episodes in. 101 now. We're just updating it. Can you share how to learn new things effectively? So the best thing you can do in software is consistency. So consistently every single day, come back and use the technology, use the topic you're trying to master. And so continue to that's what I'm looking for.
Efficiently, not effectively.
Efficiently. You can see someone get murdered on live YouTube right now. All right. So consistently be efficient and use the things that you're using, kind of like math, where repetition is the goal here. So that's what you need to do. The way that you do that is set a schedule. Say, hey, I spend 30 minutes every morning to practice JavaScript. Hopefully it's more than that. What I recommend when you're learning to code is 2 to 4 hours a day. For a full stack beginner full stack developer, what apps should you build? All right, so very first thing you should do is find a good long-term side project for you to maintain throughout your entire career. That's a tall task. That could be a blog, it could be a YouTube channel, it could be a web application you want to build, it could be a website that you want to continue to add functionality to, anything in the space that you're interested in. All right, because that will be the most impressive. Something that continues to provide value, that you continue to grow and eventually find a way to monetize it. You can do that with ads, whatever. That would be the very first, not very first, but one of the larger things that I would say that would be great for you. So the other thing is you want to build a CRUD service, something that a personal portfolio is always good. That's going to be mainly a front-end based application, but a full stack application, you can have any sort of CRUD service, some sort of admin tool. That's always good to really show that you can follow REST standards and you have okay design, you can work with frameworks and that and data managed databases. That would be what I would suggest. There had to be times when you were working to get a dev job that you felt a little burned out, frustrated, tired. I love to code. I just don't feel like I'm getting more. It's just natural. It's natural to feel like frustrated, without a doubt. You know, you're looking at how to reverse a string or something. You're like, why can't I get this? I know what it needs to be. I just don't understand. And you just have to sort of power through and, you know, jump between things. Like when I get stuck on algorithms, I'll jump to projects. But for me personally, I was all in, man. When you decide to drop out of college and you know everyone thinks you're just going to be a crackhead homeless on the street, like like there's no going back for me. I'm all in. You know, I'm spending 3-4 days on the weekdays, 10 plus hours on the weekends. It's not a matter of if I'm going to become a developer. It's a matter of when I'm becoming a developer, because I'm making sure it happens so I can, you know, because I know what I want to do. I know what I'm going to do. And so burnt out, frustrated, tired never stopped me. Tired just meant I need more caffeine. That's all it meant to me. I'm not saying it's the healthiest thing I ever did, but that's what that's what I did. In terms of frustrated, absolutely. Burnt out, absolutely. You just have to keep going though, man. That's the thing, is you just got to keep on going one step forward, and you have to keep it fun. You have to keep it exciting. You have to keep it enjoyable. The one reason I've been able to progress as far as I have and continue to is because I love what I do. I love being a software engineer. I don't see any reason in my lifetime I would ever change that. And lifetime mean like 5-10 years, because I don't think more than 5 years ahead of time. But I don't see any reason for it. So what I would say is find a way to keep it fun. You're getting sick of algorithms, start a project. Sick of projects and algorithms, go to a meetup. Sick of a meetup, go to conference. Sick of that, watch some YouTube videos on software. All right? You got to jump around. Read some blogs on Medium. Start something. Learn a different programming language. The point is just keep moving forward. That's it. Just bam, bam, bam. And you get finally like, oh, you know what? All right, cool. I've leveled up my game. Bam, let's go back. Let's go back at that thing that was making me want to throw my laptop off a building. That's what we're going back. I'm ready now. All right, I leveled up a little bit. Here we go. How many hours do you need to study in a day? It depends where you're at. If you're trying to get a software dev job, I say 2 to 4 hours a day. If you keep forgetting syntax, it's because you're not coding enough. That's the truth of the matter. I mean, you're going to forget sometimes, but if that's a consistent issue, that's a time devoted issue, in my opinion. Either that, or you need to eat healthier and get something to help with their memory. But so finding a good long-term side project for you is an absolutely difficult task, and you may go through several in the process, and that's okay. If you build one thing for 3 months and it's in a beta stage or it's a initial release, and you say, God, you know what? I'm not as interested in UFC as I thought I was. And then you're like, all right, cool, I'm done with that. Cool little side project, add to your portfolio. Nice, there's some ads on it if it's helpful for people and you think you can make money. Move on. But you need to be looking for that good, long-term, career-defining side project. So I encourage you to do that. And like people ask all the time, well, what is it? It's like, I don't know what that is for you. That's what you have to go on. You have to go on some sort of journey. And to do that, you have to try and often fail. So that's what you have to do. Do I still not drink coffee? I don't drink coffee regularly. No. On occasion, I have espresso. I did have some nitro coffee yesterday. That was fantastic. Tyler, if you're struggling with JavaScript, what I also would recommend is just getting a mentor, getting a tutor. You know, so taking an hour a week, and it may cost you $50, and just having someone sit down and say, all right, cool. What are all your questions? What are they? Let's knock them out. Bam, 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 bam. It's something that happens most of the time when I do my mentoring sessions, which if you're interested, I should put that in the description below. I don't really do it too often, but if you're interested, I do 1 hour mentoring sessions for about $125. And there, a lot of it's just creating a game plan going forward, but you can find people cheaper than that typically that will say, okay, cool, let's sit down, ask me your questions, let's work through it. What are the concepts in JavaScript that are throwing you for a loop? You don't understand closure? Cool, let me explain it to you. You don't understand block scoped versus lexical scope? All right, fine, let me explain it to you. You don't understand higher order functions? Cool, let me explain it to you. You know, go to Meetup that talks about these things. We live in a day and age where, at least in America, where you have essentially internet. If you can go and you can use you can use internet for free, a computer for free at school for the most part. You can go and for $0 become a software engineer. This may surprise you, but like, not counting my college coursework, which by the way doesn't count for shit. I didn't learn anything. And none of the technologies I work in, I learned in school. But I personally never, ever, ever, ever spent $1 learning how to code once I dropped out of college. Everything was free online. Didn't buy Udemy course, nothing. It was just time, dedication, energy. Was that the best idea? Probably not. I probably should have bought some Udemy courses because sometimes you don't find the best resources. And there's some great books I wish I recommend. But the point is I did it cheap and efficiently, and I was $10 then was a lot more than $10 now, you know. So like Esteban, Bootcamps versus online schools like Treehouse or Pluralsight. First off, Pluralsight and Treehouse, no matter what they tell you, is not an online school. They are platforms, they're education platforms, which are completely different, because Treehouse and Pluralsight will not give you any help as you're going along your journey. They're just YouTube that's more organized and specific. A bootcamp, you have structure, you have a learning path, you have teacher aids, you have a teacher, you have students that you're interacting with. So what I would say is that you use resources like Pluralsight, Treehouse, or my Udemy courses, #sellout, and you go and you have access to prep before the bootcamp or to continue learning and move forward, right? What books do I recommend for beginners? So in the description below, there's links for these so you can help me out. But I would highly recommend you read 2 books if you're 3 actually, if you're a software developer. If you're absolutely junior and just want to learn about the industry, I recommend the Complete Software Developer's Career Guide, followed up by Clean Code, followed up by the Clean Coder, which there's links in the description, as I mentioned. When is your bootcamp course going to be finished? 3 to 6 months. On Monday, I start my quality assurance bootcamp, but I did just finish the rough draft of my syllabus for the course. We're at about 500 videos. The max is 550, so I'm leaving myself 50 video slots left to break out, because there's probably a topic or two I missed, something I want to throw additional projects on, whatever whatever it's about. So I'm at the point where I'm going to show this to a colleague or two of mine and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Getting some feedback, and then I'll slightly adjust the syllabus. It was supposed to happen today. I was supposed to talk with a colleague of mine about a couple things, but he flaked on me. He had to go house shopping. But so by the end of next week, I want to have a finalized version after getting feedback, and then I'm going to start filming. So I won't be going as fast as I'd like to, because I have a quality assurance coding bootcamp that I'm doing for the next 10 weeks. But that's about it. So what differentiates the clean coder from clean code? The clean coder, while clean code is about how to actually write quality code, the clean coder is how to be a quality developer, how to actually be a professional is how I would define it. How to interact with the business, how to give estimates, how to just be a professional, I guess, would be the way that I would put it. And I think it's a great read for everyone. All right, guys. So we're at about 1 hour. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to do a little research about what platforms I should put this on for our official Ask a Dev episode 1. As always, we'll be doing these every week. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my new puppy Gator. And I look forward to these on a weekly basis. Don't forget to check out my courses in the description below, as well as the books that I recommend to help you get you going. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video. That helps. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That's the thing as well. And share. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.